Welcome to Everything Casual, bringing you original football casual videos from the golden era of the 80s and 90s, right up to current day. Football away day stories and historic clashes between football firms. Subscribe so you don't miss out. We upload videos every week.
Why does John Terry divide opinion so much, even years after his playing career peaked? Because for some, he's the ultimate captain, a leader, a winner, a legend of Chelsea FC. But for others, he represents something far more controversial. And right now, that divide is wider than ever. So the real question is this: are people unfairly targeting him because of his opinions, or do they actually have a point? Let's get into it, because if you rewind back to 2011, this is where everything really starts to unravel. During a heated Premier League match, Terry was accused of racially abusing Anton Ferdinand. Now, this wasn't just media gossip. There was video footage, there was a police investigation, and the case went all the way to court. Terry denied the allegations. His defense: that he was simply repeating words Ferdinand had accused him of saying. In court, he was found not guilty. But that wasn't the end of it.
But when you reflect back on the situation with Anton Ferdinand, and only two people know what really went on, right, you and him. When you reflect back on it, what's your thoughts? Is it regret? Is it recrimination? Is it a sense of unfairness? What's your overriding thought?
Well, I think it's a few things, and I've never really gone into detail about this, but I tried to make contact with Anton that evening after the game. I tried to make contact with Rio and their agent after the game, and I basically got shut down instantly from all of them. So that I think I knew Anton, we were mates, and you know, I wasn't socially, but we knew each other. We always got on well. Obviously got on well with Rio. We could have done something that was probably more powerful than what come about in the end, and that's probably my disappointment, because it's
Rio played with John Terry. It wouldn't just be a hello and bye. We'd chill, have a drink and sit with them, and I was Rio's little brother to them all. What was your initial thoughts on it?
I was confused, man. Just like, whoa, where's this come from? And I was just disappointed with the way it unravelled, man. And listen, we never really spoke about it, but something needs to be said. But everyone was saying, bar a few close friends and family, everyone else was saying, don't say nothing. Let the lawyers deal with it. Let this go to court. It'll be sorted out. And I feel guilty sometimes because I'm your big brother and I've always been protective. I should just come out and just said it, but I just felt powerless.
Some of me, deep down, I wouldn't have wanted you to do that, personally, because if it would have affected your career, if it would have affected where you was at the time.
The Football Association conducted their own investigation, and they reached a different conclusion. A 4-match ban, a £220,000 fine. And just like that, public opinion split down the middle. Some people said, not guilty means not guilty, end of story. Others said, if the FA found him guilty, what does that tell you? So where do you stand on that? Does legal innocence settle it for you, or does the FA's verdict still matter? Because from that moment on, Terry's image was never quite the same. And it wasn't just that incident. There were already cracks forming in the public perception of him. In 2008, Terry was fined £60 for parking his Bentley in a handicap space outside a pizza shop. For Terry, it was like spare change. He was estimated to have been making £135,000 a week at the time. In 2002, Terry had an incident at a nightclub that is without a doubt the most notable of his times in the clubs. Terry and Chelsea teammate Jody Morris were arrested and charged with assault on a doorman after he was allegedly hit over the head with a bottle. According to Goal.com, Terry punched the man in the face, but he claimed self-defense. Terry and Morris were found not guilty of a fray, wounding with intent and unlawful wounding. Terry has had several different episodes of partying too hard. When you do that, chances are that you are going to have to go. While at a nightclub, Terry needed to go really badly. He claimed that an injured toe prevented him from getting to the loo in time. Instead of using a toilet, Terry used a glass to relieve himself. He then put it on the ground and just left it. Club staff saw the incident on their security cameras and escorted Terry out of the club. Chelsea's flight was grounded in the immediate aftermath of the attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon on September 11, 2001. According to Mirror Football, some of the Chelsea players went home to watch the news. The Mirror explained that after the group of players visited several pubs, they wound up at the Post House Hotel at Heathrow. A group of stranded American travelers gathered to watch the news while the players threw food and taunted them. Chelsea fined the players for their actions. But the most famous incident came. In 2010, former Chelsea teammates John Terry and Wayne Bridge were involved in a major scandal following allegations that Terry had an affair with Bridge's ex-girlfriend, Vanessa Peroncel. The story, initially suppressed by a failed injunction, caused massive tabloid coverage, resulting in Terry losing the England captaincy and Bridge retiring from international duty to avoid playing with him. Terry unsuccessfully attempted to use a gagging order to prevent the story from being published, which exacerbated the scandal. England captaincy lost. England manager Fabio Capello stripped Terry of the captaincy in February 2010 due to the scandal. Bridge quits international duty. Wayne Bridge made himself unavailable for the 2010 World Cup, calling his position in the squad untenable. The handshake saga. In February 2010, when Chelsea played Manchester City, Bridge famously refused to shake Terry's hand before the match. The incident severely damaged John Terry's reputation, marking him as a villain in the media, though he continued his career at Chelsea. Personal fallout. Bridge, who moved to Manchester City, later moved on and has appeared on reality TV, including I'm a Celebrity. The incident is still referenced, including by YouTuber KSI to taunt Bridge in 2025, which Bridge found crossed the line.
What a big name! Who we got? Wayne Bridge. Are you the guy that let John Terry smash your ex?
Oh, you want to go there straight away, dear?
I'm pretty sure that's what you're known for.
Okay,
Yep.
go there.
Vanessa! Whoa! Vanessa! Whoa!
29th, you'll find out.
She jumped on Terry's dick. It made
You'll find out.
big boy feel sick. Vanessa! Whoa! Vanessa! Whoa! You really want this?
You wanted it, mate. You can get it.
Alright! Let's do it!
It's on it.
Let's do it!
Off the pitch, there were smaller incidents too. Stories that kept adding fuel to the fire. Nothing career-ending on their own, but together they built a picture, a narrative. And whether fair or not, people started to label him. So by the time social media came into play, Terry wasn't just a footballer anymore. He was a figure people already had an opinion on, which brings us to now. Because recently, Terry has once again found himself at the centre of controversy, this time, not for something on the pitch, but for what appears to be his political stance.
Controversy after John Terry is facing backlash after appearing to support calls to ban the burqa in the UK. That's the headline, and it's stirring up strong reactions across the country. It began with a social media post by Rupert Lowe, a former Reform UK MP who recently launched a new political party called Restore Britain. Lowe shared a photo of a London Underground station with Bengali signage and claimed that his party would ban the burqa and enforce English-only signage throughout London. The post quickly attracted attention, but the controversy truly erupted when former England captain John Terry reacted to the post. He didn't write a long statement, he simply responded with 3 clapping emojis and an England flag. That gesture alone was enough to spark a wave of criticism. Commentators, activists, and fans began debating whether Terry's response signified agreement with a controversial policy. For some, it seemed like a nod to a divisive agenda. For others, it was just a brief show of patriotism. But the backlash was swift, with social media users, journalists, and community leaders weighing in. Many pointed out that London is a multicultural city and Bengali signage in certain areas reflects the diverse communities living there. Rupert Lowe, for his part, defended Terry. He doubled down on his original message, insisting that his views represent what he believes is the majority opinion. He argued that it's time for people to stand up for what they believe in, regardless of criticism. This controversy touches on broader issues that have been debated across Europe for years. Some countries, like France, have implemented bans on face coverings in public spaces, while the UK has so far taken a different approach. The burqa, which covers the body and leaves only a small gap around the eyes, is worn by some Muslim women as a religious and cultural choice. For many, banning it would infringe on personal freedoms. For others, it's a matter of national identity and security. John Terry's involvement, even if limited to emojis, highlights how influential figures can find themselves at the centre of heated debates. It raises questions about how public figures engage with political issues and how those actions are interpreted by the public.
An Instagram comment. Simple. Short. Just a response. But the reaction? Massive. He replied 100% yes to a post calling for stricter policies on migrants. He later reacted with applause emojis to a separate post supporting a burqa ban and English-only signage in London. And just like that, the backlash exploded. Some people saw it as him expressing what many quietly believe. Others saw it as an endorsement of far-right rhetoric. And that's where things get complicated. Because here's the reality. Footballers, like anyone else, are entitled to their opinions. But when you're someone like John Terry, with his history, his profile, his past controversies, everything you say carries weight. So the question becomes, is he simply voicing personal views? Or is there a pattern that critics have been pointing to for years? And even deeper than that, should past behavior influence how we interpret what someone says today? Or should each situation be judged on its own? Because if you look at Terry's supporters, many of them feel this is yet another example of him being targeted. They'll say he's been under the microscope for over a decade, that he's never been given the benefit of the doubt, that no matter what he does, people are ready to criticize. But on the flip side, critics argue that this isn't random, that these moments, past and present, add up to something bigger, that the backlash isn't about one comment, it's about a long-standing perception. So again, it comes back to you. Are people reading too much into this? Or have the warning signs always been there? Because maybe the most interesting part of all this isn't what John Terry said. It's how people reacted to it. The fact that one comment can split opinion so sharply tells you everything about where we are right now. Not just in football, but in society as a whole. And maybe that's why this debate isn't going away anytime soon. So I'll leave it with you. Is John Terry being unfairly criticised for having an opinion? Or do his critics actually have a valid point based on everything we've seen over the years? Let me know what you think.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you subscribe, you will be notified when we release a new video. It could be your firm we make a video about next, so don't miss out and hit the subscribe button. You can find me on Facebook or email me if you have a good story to tell. See you next time.